Welcome to the second edition of the Blaine Soccer Club Get to Know series. I think last week was a pretty big success with Coach Clara. We had lots of views on YouTube and lots of positive comments. Well, they're all about Clara. I actually got a lot of negative comments, mainly from my mates about my accent. So for the rest of the podcast, I'm going to speak like I'm proper Northern Irish and no one's going to understand what I'm saying. So we'll see how it goes. With me, as always, is my producer, co-host extraordinaire, Miss Tori Burnett. Tori, how are you today?
Doing great. Had a bike ride this morning, so I'm feeling fit and fast.
Now, Tori, did that bike ride make you late for this podcast by any chance?
I know. I'm actually not that fast. That's why I was late. So.
Now, if you kept up with your mum, would you have been late?
No, I would have been right on time. My mom is very fast. But yeah, luckily no one's doing anything. It's Sebs' birthday, but no one really cares because we're in quarantine, you know. Happy birthday, Sebby. How are you feeling?
Which leads us to our interviewee of the week. He goes by many nicknames, mainly starting with wee, little, or tiny. But he takes it all in good humor. In all seriousness, he's a top lad. Not only is he one of the best coaches in Blaine Soccer Club, he's one of the top youth coaches in all of Minnesota. The one, the only, the Blaine Mark Noble, Mr. Sebastian Angus Dixon.
Thanks, mate. Thanks.
Now, I said before we begin, Tori mentioned it. What is special about today?
I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunate, but it is my birthday. I am getting older.
Coach Seb is 21 years old today as we record this. So if you want to send him a belated birthday message, I'm sure he would appreciate it. So, Sebi, any special plans to celebrate the birthday?
Due to lockdown, I had coffee and cinnamon rolls for breakfast.
Ooh.
And then for dinner, I am making Stilton burgers.
That sounds fantastic. It is concerning that
no one in America knows what a Stilton burger is. You gotta explain that.
Do you not have Stilton here?
I
found it for like $9 the other day. It's blue cheese and it smells like moldy feet, but it tastes amazing. So yeah, I'll be getting on that. Can't wait. But that's it. That's all I've got scheduled for the day, for the big day. Don't really do much when you get old.
We're going to start off this interview as we're going to do every interview. We're going to ask Seb the big question. Coach Seb?
Yep.
What is your first, and because we're both British, we're going to say football memory.
Football, I like that. I feel at home now. It will be when I was about, I'm going to say 5 years old, 6 years old maybe. I went to go and watch the mighty Oxford United when they were in the old Division 1, which used to be, you know, before the Premier League, it was like the big league to be in. And watched the whole game, can't remember who they played against, walked out, and my mum was like, did you enjoy the game? I said, yeah. I spent the whole time watching the linesmen run up and down the field. Didn't actually watch any of the football / soccer going on. Just infatuated with linesmen going up and down the field.
So, with your infatuation of referees, how come you chose to be a player rather than an official?
Very good question. Because, yeah, I love referees, love them all, but I prefer players, I think. You know, it's all about playing at the end of the day.
Then when was your first experience of playing football?
It was playing for my local team, St Edmunds Boys, against Florence Park. I was 7, I think. Obviously had a very good game, so I got man of the match, I got a trophy, and my mum bought me a Mars bar. So, best day ever, won the game, man of the match, perfect.
So, right there, that sounds like the peak, man.
I should have quit, but yeah, it was that's the first game I ever played.
And then, back in your early days, what type of player were you?
Well, I've played many positions. So when I first started this memorable game against Florence Park, I was a right back, number 2, and then my club had realised, or my team realised, that I could actually cross a ball. So I moved to the David Beckham role, number 7, take a touch, cross it in, take a touch, pass, that was my game. And then, yes, go for it.
Does that, like, when you go across an ocean, does that just like negate all of your powers? Because I don't think I've ever seen you hit it cross well.
You'll have to ask Alex Lapp on that one. Put it straight on his head. Straight on his head.
I'm just
it's all right. So played as a number 7 for a while. Then I think at the age of maybe 13, had a little go up top. And I remember one game I was on tour with my team, and we scored 10 goals in one game. My other striker, he went on to play for Oxford United and Swindon Town and teams like that. He scored 9 goals. I scored 1, and I think I assisted 6 of his goals. So I was more of the assist kind of player as opposed to the goal scoring.
Perfect. Not much has changed then.
No.
So I think for the people listening at home, I think there's quite a difference in soccer between, especially youth soccer, with mentality from back home than there is over here. Maybe you could give the listeners a sense of what it was like growing up in England. First of all, playing football, and then what like the connection you had with like the professional game, which I think encouraged you to work a little bit harder.
So I'd have to go, like, football is life back in England. I remember, when I was growing up, yes, you played for a team, so I'd train on a Thursday night for an hour, and then you'd have your game on Sunday afternoon, something like that. But then every day after school, you'd be walking home with your mates. You might be kicking a bottle about, or a Coke can or something like that on the way home. And then you'd meet them down the local park at, say, 4 o'clock, and you play till 9 p.m. You can't even see the ball anymore, but you still keep playing. And you do that Monday to Sunday, basically. You just play all the time. So I think that's the love. And then, any game that you can possibly watch, you'd watch. And then, like Bob and everybody else from back home in Britain would know, you'd watch Match of the Day on a Saturday night. That football is life, basically. And then going on with the professional game, the link to it, I think it's very much academy, all about the academies. So here, having spoken to players, coaches at Minnesota United, there seems to be, the academy and the first team, they're totally 2 different things. Whereas in England and Ireland, Scotland, wherever you go in Europe, it's very much you have to come through the academy to reach the first team. So they're all one, basically.
One thing I feel so bad the kids over here, and even the else back here, never get the experience. I get up on a Saturday morning, you watch Soccer AM, and you go meet up with your teammates. You're all in your tracksuits waiting for some dodgy minibus to pick you up, or everybody's piling into cars. You go, you play a football, you come back, you go wherever you want to go, then you watch, Match of the Day. And I think that culture is something that's really important. So with all that being said, Seb, I think the big question is, what drew you to West Ham United with all the football teams in England to support?
Very, very good question. So before West Ham, as a kid, I used to go and watch Oxford United every Saturday when they played at home. So I was a big Oxford United fan. And then, like I think a lot of kids, when you go and watch your first Premier League game / Premier League team, you just fall in love with it. So, I was a 9-10-year-old kid, went to West Ham's old stadium, Upton Park. You're sitting really high up, and you got 40,000 fans. Could you believe it? West Ham actually get that amount. And the first 3 games I saw them live, they won 2-0 every single game. So it was amazing. And it's also a bit like you say, like go into the game. So, you get up early, you're getting on the train to go to London, then you go on the tube across London. So it's all that culture sort of stuff. And then, where West Ham used to play was sort of in the middle of a housing estate sort of thing. So you're walking down these streets and, all these fans coming together. Obviously that wouldn't happen now with social distancing, but, it's the atmosphere and everything. I don't think you get that here, unfortunately.
No, like for me, I'm not a West Ham fan at all. However, when Forever Blowing Bubbles comes on, like you can't help but get engaged, and the hairs in the back of your neck stand up when like the old stadium is all singing, and not so much the new one, but West Ham, who did used to be a great team with the Canio and Redknapp as the manager, that just deteriorated in recent times. So moving on, you a lot like West Ham started off very well in soccer, and as you got older, maybe didn't turn out for you. You didn't quite make it as a professional player. Was it like your passion that kept you involved in the coaching side of things, or what changed your mind from player to coach?
So, like you said, didn't quite make it as a professional. When I was 8, I actually had trials to become a professional cricketer, actually, but decided not to go for that. I thought I'd go the soccer route and become a professional soccer player, and well, that didn't work either. So probably I made the wrong choice at 8 years old. But I think when I knew I wasn't going to become a professional, and I didn't want to be someone that sat in front of a laptop 24/7. I wanted to still be part of the game somehow, and I wasn't a big fan of referees, even though I loved watching linesmen all the time. Coaching was the next best thing. I got my first chance at my old secondary school. They asked me to start the first ever girls team, so I started that, and probably looking back at it, it was probably the worst sessions I've ever done in my life. But we learn. From then on, like you go into it, you see avenues in coaching, where to go. That was it basically when I decided I wasn't going to become a professional.
How long did you coach for at home? And kind of give us like a time scale of how long and what teams you worked with as you moved your way up the coaching ladder, and adding your coaching licenses as well.
Yeah, so I think I started when I was 16 years old. I think I was still playing. Went to uni and played there. Came back, played kind of semi-professional men's, but then after a while I thought, I want to go down the coaching route. I wanted to come to America and coach as well. So I stepped away from playing, and then basically did my level 1, level 2 very quickly, my FA level 1 and level 2, and then got into a semi-professional club near to where I live for 2 or 3 years, enjoyed my time there, and then came backwards and forwards here. Got my UEFA B license, and then basically just been growing through the ranks here at Blaine. I think my highest level would be semi-professional coaching of men's back in England. Obviously, I've done a bit of academy coaching here, but I wouldn't say that's the highest. Well, it's not as high as it is back home in England. But yeah, that's probably about it.
The highest level you've coached at is the 06 boys.
06
very much.
Mm-hmm.
Or 06 boys and 06 girls.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. So you mentioned there about coming out to coach here in the States. What drew you to want to get up, basically leave your hometown, leave your country, pack your bags, and come over here to coach?
Good question. It was when I was 11 years old in 1996. 7, something like that.
That's the age, by the way. But
yeah, I
okay.
know. I've done myself in there. So yeah, I came across for the first time to sunny California, a place called Oceanside, to visit my cousins that I'd never met before. And every day, woke up, saw the ocean, saw the nice blue skies. It was warm. And then you kind of get surrounded by the American accent and everything. And from there, I was like, right, that's it. I'm sold. One day I will get there and coach and live in that country. And I think coaching was a great way to get here, basically. So yeah, that's it. A very long time ago.
And how did you find yourself? So obviously you're drawn to warmth and ocean, and we have abundance of that here in Minnesota. So yeah, how did you come here of all places?
That's a great question, Tori. I still ask myself that question to this day.
That question. Well, maybe we'll do it periodically. What was your first coaching experience and your first coaching job over here? And then we'll lead that up to that magical road trip, Seb, that you and I shared together coming over here.
What a beautiful time that was. So I first came here with a totally different company. Can I say their name?
Yeah, you can say it.
Okay. So I came across here in 2016 with a company called UK Elite. I did summer camps with them, soccer camps around the state of Washington, so Seattle area. Had a great time for 2 months. Then they moved me to Connecticut for 2 months to do varsity high school soccer, and I was kind of like a cover coach, like any coach that couldn't make a game, then I would go and do it. So I did that for a bit, and then that got kind of cut short, but I still wanted to come out here. I'm one of these people where I work hard and, I get to the goal that I want to achieve. So, it didn't put me off those 4 months. I was unemployed for a long time. That was a disaster of a year in 2016. But yeah, then I had a friend that said about GPS. So I thought, well, I'll have a look at that, and emailed and got it back. And they were like, right, fill out these forms and stuff. And then, yeah, ended up going to Boston with GPS, the mighty GPS.
So before we go on to GPS, because I know you work more with teams and more on a club competitive basis, how did you enjoy doing the summer camps? For most people that don't know, all us, British people coming over, our first job is always we're thrown into a summer camp with 4 and 5-year-olds with 3 balls, a bag of pennies, and about 6 cones. How did you enjoy that experience?
Over here, it was I was actually very lucky. The camps I was put on were very good. I had two weeks in a place called Spokane, where I had a U16 boys team and a U14 girls team, and then I just coached them 2 hours a day. The coach had sent what he wanted to work on, so that was 2 weeks of enjoyable coaching. And then I also did a residential week with a U12 girls team, Seattle United, and I coached them 3 times a day for 5 days. It was brilliant. We did like tactical stuff every day, basically. It was brilliant. So that was really exciting to do, really enjoyed it. And then, yeah, there was a couple of weeks where I had to do the 3-year-olds and for an hour, and yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of those, but got to do it, got to experience it. You can't have it all your own way. You can't have teams all the time. You got to put in the hard work with the others as well. But yeah, it was really good. I would definitely tell people back home to do it, for sure. Like, just experience it, like experience coaching out here, experience the culture, whether it's in Seattle or in here in Minnesota or on the East Coast or whatever. But yeah, definitely do it.
When Seb says he wasn't the biggest fan of it, coaching 3-year-olds, he is still not the biggest fan of it. So nothing has changed there.
No, definitely not.
So you're in working for GPS. You're in Massachusetts. You're working in that big company with everything going on. What was the feeling like whenever you're pulled into the office and Pete tells you you're going to Minnesota to Blaine?
That's a good story actually, because I think that was on the Monday, and on the Sunday I was covering a team at a tournament, and I can't remember, but we were drawing or something, and once again the referee wasn't very good. So as always, not too nice to the referee. I'm letting him know my opinion, and then Mr. Pete walks behind me and like, everything okay, Seb? And I was like, oh no, I've only just started this job, and now the founder of the company has just heard me having a massive go at the referee. So I was like, yeah, everything's all right here, Pete. Just cheating, no worries about it. But and then the next morning I come into work, and then Curtis, who was my boss on the camp side of things in GPS Boston, was like, oh yeah, Pete wants to see you in his office at 10 o'clock or something. I was like, all right, this isn't going to go too well. Pete comes to the door and he's like, Seb, can we put it back to 10:30? I was like, yeah, no worries. And there he goes, Curtis.
Stop you 1 second. For you guys that don't know Pete Bradley, he's a tall, angry, bald Northern Irish man. So that'll maybe set the scene a little bit better for Seb's fear of going into the office.
Yeah, very true. And then he calls Curtis into the office as well. So now I'm thinking, right, I've been here for like 3 weeks, and now I'm probably going to be on the plane home. So anyway, going to the office at 10:30, and Pete just sits me down. And he's like, right, I've been talking to a few people, Curtis included, and they were like, right, we think Seb, you'd be a great fit to go to Minnesota to set up this franchise. And I was like, oh, this gone well. So he put the bit of paper in front of me, and he was like, right, if you can have a think about this, and talk about it to other people and things like that, then do it, and then come back to me in a couple of days. So I was like, okay. So I mulled it over, and it's not every day you get a promotion after about 3 weeks of working somewhere. And then obviously I met Bob Mulligan down there, and then we had a chat, and signed on the dotted line, and that was it basically.
So funny story about that chat. I guess Paul, who's my boss, told me, Bob, you're going to be moving to Minnesota. We're going to be starting up GPS Minnesota. We're looking for somebody to work with you. Leave that with us, but I want you to come down to the office that day and just have a little chat. So I arrived to the office, and Paul goes, right, come on, let's go chat. He forgot to mention to me that you were going to start working with me in Minnesota. So we just sat down, started explaining everything. I was like, who is this guy sitting beside me? Why is he coming out here? So that was my first introduction to Seb. Basically, he was sitting beside me, and I had no idea why he was doing that.
There you go.
Out of nowhere.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
So that brought us to our journey, our drive. We packed everything into my wee green Toyota Corolla.
Well, I packed a suitcase. You packed like a whole house.
Yeah, well, I've been there a lot longer. I basically had my entire life packed into the car, and Seb arrived with one suitcase, which was fantastic because there wasn't much room for anything else.
Definitely not.
And we hit the road. So I think that's something that's kind of unique to our situation, Seb, our job. You were just sort of, you're told where to go, and you better like this person because you're not, we're in trouble. What was that like for you, just going out, there's Bob, get in the car with them, are you driving to Minnesota?
Yeah, it was definitely a strange one, because I think originally the plan was you were going to drive and I was going to fly. And then about 2 hours later, Pete Bradley comes in and he's like, Seb, actually, scrap the plane. You're going with Bob in the car. And I was like, okay, like I've met this guy for about 5 minutes and now I've got to sit in the car with him. Not going to lie, Bob, I didn't have a clue what you were saying at first. like
Oh,
with the Northern Irish accent. I was like, what are you saying? So yeah, it was definitely an experience, that's for sure. You know, you've never met someone and then you spend the next 24 hours in a tin can driving across the states to here. So yeah, that was definitely an experience.
there was a couple of interesting stories, interesting stops. I don't think they're quite for this platform to share with everyone, but
yeah,
one of them was our first experience of water skiing. How do you want to share with how successful we were?
I can't remember about yourself, but I was pretty terrible. I thought, you know, rather than water skiing, I go for the wakeboarding because obviously that's going to be easier. But since then, I found out that it's not. I could not get myself up onto the water. Every time face planted the water, I think I must have tried like 10 times. So gave that up, and I haven't tried it since. But I'm going to give it a go again this year, and hopefully it'll be a better outcome.
I also could not stand up, but I blame the driver of the boat that was not.
Apparently, that's it. Apparently, if you have a good driver, you can get up.
That's exactly what it is. Not just you guys not having strong enough quads. That can't be it.
That also could have been the reason. So we eventually made it to Blaine Soccer Club, and Seb, you've been here on and off, but you know, the past 3 years. What has your experience been like? Because you started off coaching, you know, the 06 girls, and then you moved on. You done a lot of covering for 1 year. Now you're on to the 06, 05, and 04 boys. Maybe you want to share like what's been the differences, what have you liked, and then maybe something that you maybe have not enjoyed as much.
Okay, I'll go back to when I first got here with the 06 girls. Luckily at the time, in 2016, obviously I'd coached some 06s at that age, or U12, should I say. So, I knew what I was doing. I must admit, by the time of the year, I think what I was doing with the travel team in the fall was probably a little bit too hard. So when it came to the summer, I kind of revised what I did, and, you know, we still had a topic, but we just enjoyed ourselves, and I think the girls really enjoyed it, and the results showed, and they played very well compared to in the full. The top team, as Tori knows, because she's had them now for nearly 2 years, they're a great team, like loads of great characters. The parents are brilliant as well, and they're almost like a family, I would say, that team. They're great to be around. You know, they're focused. They want to do what you say, whether or not they can do it, but they do try. So yeah, I had a great time that year with those two teams, and then obviously I had the 2000 boys, which, not gonna lie, I was very excited to have them. And then after about 2 training sessions, I was like, what have I got myself into here? Like, they could barely kick a ball. So that was an experience, that's for sure. You know, when you got your centre back trying to take on the entire opposition, you're thinking, what is this? This is not.
Van Dijk, leave him alone.
That's true. Fisher, what a legend he was. So yeah, then I had to go back home, but then I came back out last year. Like you said, did a lot of covering. I was like I set up 2 rec programs. That was, I wouldn't say it was stressful, but there was a lot of organising to do with that. It was something completely new, but it was great to do. And then in the midst of that, I had to cover all you guys, because you had a lot of teams and there was a lot of conflicts. So I was doing a lot. It was great to be able to see a lot of different players that I don't know. I think now, coming when I go to training sessions, especially in the winter, and you see all the other teams, like you see players and you say hello. So for me, it was kind of built up a good relationship, not just with teams, but the entire club in a way. The 2003 and the 2002 girls in particular, because I covered Eric Peterson for 2 or 3 weeks when he was away. So I have a good relationship with those teams. So yeah, that was a great time, if I'm honest. However much, you know, wasn't the happiest of doing rec programs. I was like, oh, what's this summer going to be like? But in actual fact, looking back at it, it was pretty good being able to see other teams and that.
I was very thankful of you covering, helping me out with the '07 Boys Legends team, leading us to an indoor
Championship.
and football frenzy championship.
Woo.
Is there anything about that experience that really helped you develop as a coach, working with other teams and really having to adapt on the spot? Because in some cases you were showing up but not really knowing much about A, your team, and B, the other team.
Yeah. You kind of have to ask the players, and I think you end up trusting players. Like I could ask you guys, what positions these guys play in and what their names are, and then you get to the game, you're like, well, I have no idea which player is which and all this. So, you kind of trust in the players, even ones that are like maybe 10 years old. You're trusting them that they can tell you the positions that they play in, and you just got to go with it. And then what I really liked was you would ask some players, I know you don't play this position, but do you mind just filling in for like 10, 15 minutes? And then they're like, yeah, I'll do that. That's a good attitude from all the players. And, they're not very much, I don't play that position. They just get in there and they do it. So I really appreciated that. It was very easy for me in the end by that. Opposition, I didn't have a clue who we were going up against. So I remember I had the science team and I was like, oh, this is not going to be a good day. But we ended up getting, I think, the biggest win that they had all summer. So I was proud of that. They did well. I can't remember who it was against, but,
So I think speaking really specifically to at a coaching level here, what do you feel that you bring to Blaine Soccer Club on the coaching side of things that makes us the best soccer club in Minnesota?
What do I bring? I would say culture from England. I think kids need to know, like, here I feel soccer is very much like high school. I remember I watched the 2005 boys in their first game here, and it was 100 miles an hour, and it was what I describe high school, just kick the ball and everybody run after it. And then, we've changed. So it's trying to get them to understand the game, how we want it to be played. And, each coach has a slightly different way of doing it. But, I think bringing the culture and bringing my knowledge, experience and understanding of the game to the players, whether or not they can actually do what I'm asking, that might not happen, but so long as they're understanding it and trying, that's all I can ask for from them.
I think for me, we asked like the parents and the kids you coach to send you in some messages, and we got loads, and we haven't really got a lot of time to read them all out. But I'll make sure to send them all to Seb. And I just want to share this one with you. Kid says he loves that Seb shows a genuine interest and enthusiasm in his team. As a parent, I love his coaching style and his communication. For me, I mean, that sums you up, Seb. I think no one can deny you don't have a genuine interest in your players, whether it's on or off the field. And you put everything into, first of all, your coaching, and then you're communicating with the parents. And I think it just always keeps everyone happy. And as most soccer coaches know, it's not easy to keep everyone happy. And you probably never can, but I think you do a fantastic job of balancing that there. Okay, everyone, we're now going to finish off with our rapid fire questions to Coach Seb. Coach Seb, well, they're not really rapid fire, but let's try and give us a quick answer. All right. So first of all, we're going to start off with Coach Seb. What is your favorite food?
Pizza.
Like it? What? Pineapple on pizza?
Just meat. Just get all the meat on there.
Favorite TV show?
Oh, I don't know. I'm going to have to go with Neighbours from back home.
Oh, what a show.
What
Neighbours actually from Australia, but
yeah. Did I, Mike?
What's your favorite type of music?
Favorite type of music? Well, can I give you a favorite type of band?
Yeah, of course.
The Arctic Monkeys. What a band they are.
Everyone go listen to the Arctic Monkeys. They are fantastic. Have you ever made a TikTok video?
The honest answer is no. I don't even watch them. I probably should, but I don't even watch them.
Will you make a TikTok video?
No, unless I'm forced and paid good money.
Forced by Kelly, you will do it. All right.
Yeah.
If you were an Avenger, which Avenger would you be?
Now, I had to Google this just to make sure this was right. I would have to be Iron Man.
Could you look like Tony Stark?
It looks like him for
Of
sure.
course I look like Tony Stark. Look at me.
Who is your favorite football player?
Good question. I'd have to say Ronaldo.
Cristiano or Brazilian?
Cristiano.
Okay.
Cristiano.
Not Martin Noble?
Well, he's a very close second.
All right. So, final question and the most important one and eagerly anticipated of the interview. You have to pick a 7v7 team out of the Blaine Soccer Club coaches and a captain. You can also pick yourself. So let's start from the keeper and work our way up.
Okay. And this has to be people that are working right now with us, yes?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, there's only one goalkeeper in the entire staff, so we'd have to go Mr. Jake Borash. I think he'll be named every single time. At the back, we have Tory and Scott McLeod.
I'll take it.
Yeah. And then we've got a midfield three of Avnish on the right, myself, Iniesta in the middle, and Dan Bell on the left. Midfield of the English there. Wow. And Bob Mulligan up top to hold the ball back, lay it off, and then I ping it in the top bins.
Sounds perfect.
I'm very fortunate I'm the only American on the squad. Thank you.
See? Apart from Jake.
Oh, Jake. Well, he forgets that always counts.
We got American, Scottish, English, and Northern Irish there.
That's a team. I tell you what, that could go into any men's league team and do a job.
Exactly.
Set that up.
Good. We should seriously, when we come back, we should just do make all the teams of each week do somebody else's team.
Yeah.
Perfect. Sebi, fantastic team. All right. So to finish off, Seb, thank you very much for coming on, doing an interview. As I said at the beginning, you're one of the top coaches in Blaine Soccer Club. You're one of the top youth coaches in Minnesota. When you first came out here, I'm not going to lie to you, as your boss, I was about to pull my hair out, trying to teach you how to do everything. But as ever, you adapted, you learned, you can now pretty much do anything. So I think that's a fantastic trait you had and something that you bring to Blaine Soccer Club and you bring out in your players. So we look forward to having you here for many, many years. So,
thank you.
So before we go, do you have a quote or any advice you want to share with people during this tough time?
Not really a quote, but for me, I would just be telling all the players right now just to stay mentally strong, because at the end of the day we will get back out there and we will start kicking a ball about. I know it's there's no date to say, right, we're definitely going to be playing here, and it can be very uneasy and you're very unsure of what's happening, but we will get there. And if you can stay mentally strong, and when you get back out there and you put everything in 100% for yourself, for your teammates, for your coach, for your parents, then you'd have done yourself proud.
Perfect. Thanks. Some fantastic advice and something we should all remember. So before we go, I'd like to say thank you to Tori, thank you to Seb, thank you guys for listening. Next week we will have Coach Mandy. So if you have any questions you want to ask Mandy, please send them along to us. Also, we have the Blaine Soccer Club Skills Challenge for this week. So remember to record your skills, send them in to us, and we'll get them posted. If you have any questions on anything, please reach out to your coaches, reach out to me. We'll be able to help you out. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye from us.
Thanks, guys.